Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of the Combat Club, because in this club we're born to fight anytime, anywhere, because we're going to recap the UFC 319, and ladies and gentlemen, we're back in business with my co-host Zion Zenith, because we're about to get to review the UFC 319, and of course the UFC on Shanghai, China, which is going to be on Saturday morning. So yeah, this is going to be so much happy right now. So right now, let's get it back to business. So how you feeling about this right now? Let's go for it.
Dude, I feel absolutely great. I know we have to delay this show a couple of days. I know we're supposed to go live on Tuesday, so I'm sorry about that, fam. But we are going to do a double show here. We're going to recap what amazing night of fights it was at 319. And then we're going to be previewing, like my co-host said, that Johnny Walker versus the Ming Young fight. That should be an exciting one. And like my boy said, that is going to take place in the morning. Like, I'm probably not watching it because it literally going to take place like at 12 o'clock at night and 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, maybe I'll catch a little bit of that event. But, boy, am I just excited to talk MMA. The Giants are playing preseason right now. You know, watching them as the show goes along. We're looking pretty good. But, hey, no time for the Giants. It's an MMA podcast. So, let's get it.
Yes. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, and speaking about the New York Giants, because I know this is like the final week of the preseason of the NFL. So right now, let's talking about Tim Elliott versus Kaya Sakura. Man.
Yeah, I think he froze. I think he's gonna fix his internet and he'll be right back. But if you're here, Raphael, please continue to talk. If you're not, I'll try to hold it together. And you're absolutely right, man. Looking at that first fight on the court, we had Tim Elliott go against Kai Saka. Now Kai's known, you know, he came over from one championship, I believe. Ryzen. Was it Ryzen or wasn't one? I believe it was Ryzen. And he came and immediately got Pantoja. He immediately got the champion. And to come into an organization and immediately get the champion is a tough out for anyone, but it just goes to show you how much they respected Kai. Kai comes in, and it was Ryzen over in Japan. Comes in with an amazing fighting record of 21-4 before going against Alexandre Pantoja. And then Tim Elliott comes back, and Tim Elliott he loses against Pantoja, but he fights Tim Elliott on this fight card. And boy, did Tim Elliott look good, because he does catch him in a submission, and he does submit him in the second round, close to the end of the second round. I believe there was only 20 seconds left on the clock. And my boy Raphael, he absolutely did pick Tim Elliott to come and win this fight. So I'm going to have to give him a shout out when he gets back. He's just having some technical difficulties right now. But boy, did Kai Asakura really showed up. And, sorry, not Kai, obviously he lost. Tim Elliott, he really did show up, because Kai did show up as well. And Kai was game, but Tim Elliott just looked a little bit better, gang. And when Raphael gets back, I know he's going to want to talk about that, because for Tim Elliott to be a 500 type of fighter, his record is 21-13 coming into this fight. He's now 22-13 because of that win of Kai. But I'd like to see Tim Elliott to get a consistent, start to win more consistently. His whole MMA career, it's been ups, it's been downs. And when you get a big win and you go out there and you look good against a competition like Kai, I think it's really great. It really serves, Tim Elliott. It's a good name to have on his resume. It just makes his strength of schedule, the fighters that he fought, look a whole lot better. I honestly wasn't expecting Tim Elliott to come out and win this fight, but boy, did he absolutely come out and he looked good. What's up, Matt? Thank you for so much for being here right now. Raphael, just having some technical difficulties. He definitely will be back shortly. That being said, though, I guess we can talk about the next fight at hand. Was Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. And Michael Page, he outworked Cannonier. Now, for a while, it was a close fight, but just the striking of Page, just the overall movement of him, just him to keep the distance. He did tag Cannonier a couple of times. Cannonier did land a couple of takedowns, but it wasn't really anything that was so significant that really handed Cannonier the victory. But now that Raphael is back, we can actually move back to that Tim Elliott fight because I'd love to see his take on Tim Elliott. And you did predict Tim Elliott winning. So back over to you, my friend.
Yeah, because I know they just like everything was happening right now. But you know what? I mean, Tim Elliott, the veteran, is just doing all those things. But they already expecting this because Asakura may be the king in Japan, but it's just like a big fish in a small pond. He's fighting like 125 and 135, which is the most skilled divisions at the UFC. On top of that, because he can use a lot of weapons that he used back on Japan, which is sucker kicks, stumps, ground and knees. I mean, he can't use it because none of those things would help
a lot of the rules are
fight.
different. Thank you for bringing that up. A lot of the rules are absolutely different.
Yeah, and apparently he's like one of the purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but he looked good versus Pantoja. But they were hoping for a quick defensive win here, but they wanted to take it down from now it's going to get to Kai's head. But they're going to get sprawled that they didn't see the takedowns coming. But everyone that just saw between for like Tim Elliott, I mean, man, that was like a hell of a performance by Tim Elliott because they knew to move it around for like everything because this is like one of those best fights that I ever see everything about for this life because they locked down by everything, the transition, but they wanted to try to survive it. But every time that I just see like a Tim Elliott go sort of like the veteran, I mean, he still got it. He still got the best. He still got the skills. I mean, what should I do that about it? He got it all.
Absolutely. And I just want to send a special shout out to Battlefield Gaming. You know what I'm saying? Spreading the gospel
Salute
of Jesus
to Battlefield.
Christ. Jesus is love. He lived the perfect life for we couldn't. He died for us on the cross and his blood. You know what? I know this is not a religious podcast, but I keep
Oh man. Whoop, we got something like very technical issues, but think about Battlefield Gaming. I know this is like an MMA podcast, but thank you for the message. Thank you for everything. I mean, yes, but talking about like Tim Elliott versus Sakura, I mean, that was like really brilliant at all. That was like something brilliant that I was like really expected. All right?
Facts. I'm sorry. Is my mic fixed now? I kind of got up abruptly and I unplugged everything. But yeah, absolutely. Now I want to hear your thoughts on the Cannonier fight. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on the Cannonier versus Michael Page fight. Michael Page did win it by decision, but I want to get your thoughts on it.
Well, Jeff Neal, I mean, they just wanted to like really get it really knocked out. Because without that, the reason, because I know that Carlos Prater knocked down Jeff Neal with the spinning back elbow. That was like absolutely ridiculous. Because I just wanted to take it on to the point and say, what's his striking style? Because did he really connect the elbow to temple back at his head? Because they're not really that confusing at all. But I would just like, that one's like it was great because it's actually for this great style because he was like a tall guy, long limbs, small torso, good head movement. It's hard to get at his head body and the small target. but he has a reach on every opponent's both legs and arms. But they do like the spinning, like the buzzer beater. It's so crazy. And I was just like, at the middle of the second of this fight, that I was like, wow, that was like a great finish. And they really moved it up for anyone. So this is like the best base. I mean, he just say he only needed one round. The round, he's got to do all for the needed. Because that was like the 2 wins of the fucking roll. But it might be like really good. But the Buster Beaters that became like one of the biggest moments that we just saw at UFC 319. But they just stopped showing at the replay, but it's like at a 4-inch counter to the side of his head. But the Skyrocket is spinning like at a top fight. He didn't really lose stock from the EM fight because he had the same for the belt, but that will be like a title contender for the next year.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I absolutely agree. Like moving over to the Gulf Neal and Prada's fight, like you said, man, that spinning back fist was absolutely amazing to watch. It came in last. Don't mind my headset. It came last seconds almost of what is it, the first round or the second round? I believe it was the first round. Yeah, it came at 4:59 of the first round. And not only did it look smooth, but the way he set it up, it was so clean to watch. And we do get another one in the Leon Murphy fight. You know, coming into this, Leon Murphy was a young undefeated fighter, 16-0, but he didn't really face the type of competition that would deem him ready to compete for a title shot. And boy, did he come in and he looked better than ever. He comes out there and he's getting actually pieced up by Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico's looking like the more dominant fighter, looking like the more aggressive fighter. And then what does Leon Murphy do? He times it, he spins around and he does a spinning back fist, times it perfectly. Pico goes out, so we get back-to-back spinning back fist on the same court. I want to hear your thoughts on that, Raphael. That was amazing to watch.
Wow, that Leon Murphy, I mean, that was like something that I was like really impressive because to be honest right now, Leroy Murphy, I mean, he learns a lot because he was diffusing a puncher because to that fight against Aaron Pico, because he deserves more respect.
So good.
Because people are jumping like the usual Bellator bad, UFC good, but you actually watch the fight. You know that Pico was giving Murphy trouble on his way to winning the round, even if he was starting to catch coming in, because the little comparisons are very popular for, frankly, he started to build up more towers to be like a creative counter striker than a Peter Pan decision merchant. Because I understand that the fight IQ wins fight, and Murphy deserves like the next title shot if El Ball isn't getting it. But I can see like a fight against Alexander Volkanovski because after Leroy Murphy beat against Aaron Pico, and then Alexander Volkanovski was publishing on the social media to say, I'll see you there in December. So that was like they have the talent all the world because nobody saw that coming after for the elbow. And I was just like, they just running into the strikes. But he was way too reckless for the guy for the chin, the elbow, and the knee. He fell like at the preview for the first round knockout. And there you go, because they ran every strike to the cap of his head to the center line to land that hook. Because Pico thinks he can knock out everyone in one shot. So that respect, that was like, okay, that was over. But this was one of the most entertaining fighters, but they have a lot of composure. And he wasn't that in a rush, just like that. I think you muted.
For Pico to should be as aggressive that he was, I love seeing it. And he was fighting a good fight all the way up until he wasn't, right? I think anyone else, he would have folded under that pressure. Pico looked like a great fighter. Pico looked like he's supposed to be in the UFC. Murphy just timed it right and he just looked better. And yes, Mozor, you're 19-0, but it's all decisions. And as much as I want to fly your banner, because I know you got injured and I know the spot has supposed to be yours, Murphy jumped it. You know, UFC sometimes is about moments. It's still entertainment, and the fans want to see exciting fights. When you look like someone like Morzor, yes, he is 19-0, but a lot of the fans say he's boring. You know, that's why everybody cheered when Muhammad lost his title. You know, and I just kind of feel that with Leon Murphy, he has the capabilities to go out there and to beat someone like Volk in December. Not to take anything away from Volkanovski, but we're just looking at a new age of fighter. We're going to talk about it in the main event. We already have an undefeated lightweight champion. You know what I'm saying? We could have 3 undefeated champions before the year ends, and we could have 4 at the beginning if Shakurov gets his chance in the welterweight division. But that's another story for another day. Let's talk about an amazing middleweight division that is just stacked at the top. So much crucial matchups. And I just feel like what's next for a champion like DP? A level of his performance on Saturday night was terrible. I don't know how they even got it to 44. I mean, like, he literally had maybe he had that small Anderson moment where we thought it was gonna be an Anderson moment. He was gonna pull the fight off in the 5th, but he had no takedown defense knowledge to get back up to his feet. Like, I'm not trying to say he can't grapple, because he definitely can grapple, and I'm not trying to say it's DPP. I'm mostly shocked on how good Chimaev looked, because I noticed a lot of people was dissing DPP like he can't wrestle. Like, let's be real. This guy is out there wrestling tournaments with black belts and shit. Go look up that video when he's taking a multitude of black belts over and over again. I just think when you go against someone like Chimaev, there's levels to this shit, and I just feel that the level of wrestling DDP just was not prepared for. You're gonna have to wrestle for years and years to get that, to be able to handle someone like Chimaev. You're not gonna learn that in the training camp, no matter who the fuck you bring in. And I just kind of felt like it was meant to be that Chimaev was going to be champion one day. He is champion. As much as I picked DVP, it's just because I was betting on him, because he was going to pay off the most, and he was cheaper on DraftKings. But gun to my head, y'all knew I was taking Chimaev, and it was a beautiful performance, no matter what anybody says. I don't care if it's just little taps. The guy landed over 500 stripes and got DPP and crucifixes multiple of times. And if you guys never been on the ground, it's not easy to get a grown man into that crucifix. Not easy at all. And he did it 3 times and controlled every single moment of that fight up until the later rounds, and DPP had a little bit of life. But outside of that, I mean, like, I'm sorry, middleweight division, but man, this guy is here to stay. And I love me some Carlo Pavaro. I love this. I love these, fluffies of the world. I love DOTs of the world, DTOs of the world. But at the end of the day, man, like, I don't know, man. Chimaev is just looking levels above the comp, man. And this is a guy that, is just from day one, right, Raphael? From day one, his UFC debut, it was just, oh my God, Yeah, he just absolutely did pull out. We absolutely can get to that right after
he did pull out.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, Big Fridge.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Raphael.
Yeah, about Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev, because I really understand that they need like a new champion in that middleweight division, but it's just really contra wrestler, because they have a great offensive guard. You have to be faster, more powerful with the body on the feet, because I don't think that Dricus du Plessis had the tools to beat Khamzat Chimaev. And he gets by far like too much athleticism and grit, because we would see, because Dricus, it feels like a fridge that doesn't help, because he had the 2 minutes that gave Khamzat, who gave like starting too many openings. It was a 5 round at the beginning. He throws something like immediately gives his going to a standing up, because he constantly throwing that low side kick where it goes like at giving like an opening low pack. But they probably had the best talent matchup for like against Chimaev, because he has the feet falling off on the kill, winning huge shots, slipping and tripping all over the place. Someone's landed at the strange times, but I understand that they got a chance, but also they has know how to be, because that's one of those reasons that Gilbert Burns is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt and knows what in the actual fuck is doing on the ground. But Dricus du Plessis seems like he doesn't know how to defend, to side control. And Khamzat Chimaev, he really understands about like the wrestling and of course the ground control. Because what I just saw over those 5 rounds, he gained a lot of more control on the ground going after the submission because the DP was a grappling dummy by submission. I was like, holy shit, because I never seen someone get rest fucked that 25 minutes straight because no one's gonna beat him at 185 because it was like more damage that a lot of social media coming to say this is like the most boring fight that I ever seen in my whole life. But at the end of the day, because that was like something really interesting that even Dricus du Plessis couldn't handle so much easier against Khamzat Chimaev. We all actually know that a lot of people on Dagestan, they know exactly the wrestling style that they work it for years.
Absolutely. I mean, like these are guys that like live, eat, breathe shit MMA. You know what I'm saying? Like this is different type of wrestling. And as long as he's been alive, he's been wrestling, right? So it's almost as if like he started real young and he's trying to carry on that legacy of the great wrestlers from that side of the world. And if you just look at, you know, the overall control that he had, it was just amazing to watch because I knew he was gonna take DPP down, but I just didn't know he was gonna dominate him on the ground for the full fight. And yeah, some people that don't like the ground game would say it's boring. I honestly think there's moments in the fight where I kind of just wish Chimaev, fuck it, you showed your dominance on your ground, now show your dominance in the stand-up. But he clearly had a game plan. He didn't want to bend from that game plan. And when you're fighting at this high of a level, you know, you have to follow through with that game plan no matter what. You're not there to impress the fans. At the end of the day, you're there to win the fight. Yes, you want to impress the fans because the more entertaining fighter you have, you know, but obviously he did that. All his run all the way up to the title. He's been doing it for the fans. Now he's doing it for him. Now he's doing it for his team. Now he's fighting the smartest fight of his life. I love that because it showed maturity in him. And you need that if you're going to become one of the GOATs. As much as we all talk shit of his outside of the cage shit, one thing that John had inside the cage was discipline. And you know, fuck John Jones at this point. Let's look at Khabib, the most disciplined fighter in all of the land. There's no fighter on planet Earth that was more as disciplined as Khabib. That was a lifestyle for him, right? And it just kind of feel when you grow up around nothing but concrete. No offense when he's from where he's from, but I mean, like, god damn it, that side of the world is just dangerous. And you go look into the wrestling. I mean, like, they've been running this shit for a really long time, and it talks about goats in the Olympics and what wrestling means for that side of the world. So absolutely fun to watch. Absolutely love to see these undefeated fighters, this next generation new UFC fighters, what Ilya like to say, basically rising up and taking the mantle because of the fact that we have all these pioneers that paved the way. There wouldn't be no Chimaevs, no Ilyas, none of these new school fighters if it wasn't for the fighters that came before. Absolutely love seeing, and I can't wait to watch him perform again, no matter who he fights. And I think the only competition for him is probably on the ground is probably DOT because he comes from a wrestling background and he can probably get back to his feet. But you don't know, I don't know, man. I can still see Fluffy or maybe Koro coming in and landing a punch, but are you really going to be on your feet long enough to land that punch? I didn't answer this phone call. Let's move on. I'll let you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like one of those things that I learned, that a lot of fighters, including like not many fighters, had a wrestling resume just like very impeccable. And we just see like moving off of the rankings. Now we got Il Tupuria, right now we got Islam, we got Khamzat Chimaev, because they know how to do with the wrestling style. Because all of the people, they wanted to like, they're learning some of the styles, and they might be changed for a little bit. Because if you wanted to go at the big leagues, just like UFC or like independent MMA promotion, like PFL or like Risen in Japan, One in Asia, I mean, you had to do with the wrestling style. Because if you wanted to have a fight against Khamzat Chimaev, I mean, it's over. Because those guys like him, they have a great resume in wrestling, but also they really can knock you down. Because those guys are really smart. They have the highest IQ ever on this life, and they never disappoint at all. Never.
Absolutely. And like, it's just fun. It's just I know it's not the most entertaining fights to watch, but it's just so fun to see styles, and that's why we became fans of the UFC. I don't know about you guys, but for me, there's no other sport on planet Earth that you can see the best fighters from all around the world bringing their respected fighting craft and bring it into the octagon and show it. Okay, you're really good at this particular, you're a specialist in this particular era. Well, go out there and prove it. And what do we all say? What would you say is the most important discipline to have? The fundamental, the foundation of MMA is wrestling. No matter how good of a boxer you are, wrestling is, no matter how good you are at BJJ, wrestling, what you learn in wrestling, if you was doing it for throughout your entire life, at least I know in the States, wrestling practice is some people will look at football practice and be like, oh, that's intense. No, go to the wrestling gym. Go see what the wrestlers are doing. That is some of the most disciplined, most intense, most cardio exercises that you have to do to prepare yourself for these wrestling matches, right? And then you take that and you go on that side of the world, and that's just the top. It tops it off, right? And one thing I look at,
Exactly.
I look at Ordeor, right? And I look at, Bo Nickel, right? Bo Nickel coming in, an All-American, who's who that could have been going to the Olympics for
Ooh,
wrestling,
that was
but
really good.
chose to come in and fight for the UFC. Absolutely a dog on a win streak, 7-0, flying high, runs into Ordeor, unable to take Ordeor down and get striked out from Ordeor. Now, I do think that Ordeor can't hang on the feet with Chimaev, because I do think Chimaev will be able to land a few shit, but that's just a strong matchup to make, because as much as I want to see a Carlos, as much as I believe the guy, I forget his name, he just knocked out Izzy, as much as he's streaking Islam, or I forget his name, I don't know how qualified their wrestling is against someone like Chimaev. At least if you get Ordeor in here, Ordeor is known for his wrestling. This guy was a 2-time champion. The only person he won against was a 3-time champion. The only person he lost against, the 2 losses, was a 3-time champion in Bellator, the middle, the heavyweight, and the light heavyweight champion. And that guy went undefeated his Bellator reign, only losing to one guy and then retiring. I don't think he retired, but that's what I'm saying. These 2 losses on his record was against a 3-time Bellator champion. The only 3-time champion in any organization was the only 2 losses on his record. And yes, he did lose, but at the end of the day, his wrestling in the whole middleweight division is probably the closest to Chimaev. And I don't want to see, dude, we just seen a fucking striker, a guy who literally fucking outstrikes everybody, including Sean Strickland, not be able to hang with Chimaev. As much as I love the fighting fucking nerds, you can't tell me that if DTT can go in there and can't hang with Chimaev, you're going to tell me that Carlos Boho is going to go in there and hang with, yeah, he's amazing. Yeah, he hasn't lost since his second fight. He's on 19-1, and I love watching him fight. The guy's absolutely a stud. But man, DOD is just on a different level. And as much as I love Fluffy's fucking streaking. Fluffy's knocking out the who's who. And Fluffy does have a wrestling background. So maybe that October 18th fight is an important one to watch. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, but it's intriguing when you have a fighter like Ilya, a fighter like Chimaev now at the top of the game. Now you have champions, guys, that's undefeated, and that's where the game gets scary, because it's like, oh shit, we're entering a whole different level of MMA here. You take Ilya, you put him in a time travel machine 10 years ago, Ilya's beating the whole fucking roster. You know what I'm saying? It's just so amazing how MMA has developed over the years.
Exactly. And after we just talking about the UFC 319, now we're gonna do the predictions for the UFC Shanghai, which is gonna be on Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time. Whether they got the main event, which is Johnny Walker versus Sean Yan. But we're gonna talk about to preview those fights. So first and foremost, we got for the flyweight, we have Sulum Darshi versus Kevin Borges. Now, Sulum Darshi has only a handful of wins of the UFC. None of the really impressive that seems somewhat determined with his career has been so far, because outside of the wrestling against Raposo, because his career has been often tested, because original performance and fight has been apparently on the WLF promotion, and there's a more sketchy, but most dangerous striker that left straight is very long fighter of the division that presenting challenges for Borges. And I think that Kevin can blaze it away to the pocket with his lane shots, but then the flurry. And also Borges is only 3 fights into a UFC career, because after that win against Ronaldo Rodriguez is a massive turning to try to lazy boys and initially challenge. Now, the most immediately challenge that Borges had to deal with outside of the lane difference that Borges is very open for the left side attack, so the marching. The Borges needs to try, but he has an active shell. Strike hard to do like the head moving and straight together combinations. So I really think that it's gonna give like Alice swords, especially on the pocket. So I just got Kevin Borges because there's like a massive chance to get an upset because the record is so bloated with horrible opponents, and Borges looked phenomenal this fight against Rodriguez. So giving Kevin Borges at knockout round number 2 because he knows how to string the combinations during for the ground and pound, also for the jab combination, the uppercut. I mean, that's frankly is gonna be like a tough but easy challenge for Borges.
Yeah, I would say coming into this fight, you nailed it on the head. I mean, like both of them is almost knockout specialists, with both of them having over 75% of their wins coming from knocked out. But when you do look at the level of competition, like you said, that the Tibetan Eagle has been fighting, it hasn't really just been the best of the best. Like, yeah, he may come out strong because it is his hometown of China, his home country of China, should I say. But I just feel like, he's 500 in the UFC with a record of 4-4. But I just feel like Kevin, he's 1-2 in the UFC. He's going against top level competition, not top level. I'm sorry, excuse me, not top level competition, but better competition than the opponent. And I just kind of feel like when you go lose against Joshua Vann in a decision, I mean, like Joshua Vann is about to fight for a championship, so I'm not really gonna hold that against you. And I just feel like the level of competition he fought is so much better, and that's gonna prepare him to go in there and try to steal a knockout and get this guy out of here. So I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say Kevin by knockout. I will say this. I don't know who's going to win the fight. I'm picking Kevin. Raphael's picking Kevin. But we can damn near show you it's going to be a knockout. It's going to end on a knockout either way.
Oh, this is going to be really interesting. All right, next up, we got an amazing fight on heavyweight. Sergey Pavlovich versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Now, Pavlovich has been looking a little timid of the recent fights. But besides for the level of the competition now he faces, but they have a feeling that he was wanted to go like the wrecking ball. He was like this weekend, but Pavlovich has a massive reach over like the WCA. We all know just looking at the fight is gonna be like really helpful to the Van's team. Power punches at distance, and Waldo Cortez Acosta is coming out for the fantastic wins over some recognized names on that division. It is most really win against Sergey Spivak. He looked really, really good stuffing on those takedowns. Later, those jabs out of the range, just like 1-2. But the main thing is, it's going to be really affected that it's leg kicks or the one less kick, best leg kickers. And that division is probably tool is outside the job. It can land those leg kicks, but if against the walking tall like Pavlovich, not only is going to be the rust with the punch of the Pavlovich, but they also take like this thing away for Pavlovich shots to like start for long his own volume strikes. Because it's going to be like a fantastic fight. But between for like this would be like a tough call. This is gonna be like a tough challenge, but it's not gonna be like it's so ready to say to drop it off for everything. But I will say this: Pavlovich has the better rate of punching, of course, the jabs and the uppercuts. I mean, I do think because they have the devastating power, but they can be hunting finish early to ritualize this career. So I will predict Pavlovich as a knockout by round number 3.
Yeah, it's just so hard to pick against Pavlovich. I mean, like, Costas definitely streaking, definitely looking good. I mean, like 7-1 in the UFC. Been on a tear since 2021. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but all of his 15 fights is inside the last 4 years. He only went pro in 2021, and just to see how fast he rose. I mean, like think about that. 15 fucking fights in less than a 5-year time. And I mean, like for me, that's just amazing to see. I mean, like this guy fought 3 times in 2021. This guy fought fucking 7 fucking times in 2022. That's just amazing to see. One of those fights being in the Contender Series, two of those fights being fight nights, and then he loses to De Lima. De Lima obviously looking pretty fucking good, at the time. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, yeah, you go out there and you beat a polar bear in a decision. I mean, like, everybody's gonna go out there. If you're a good fighter, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna handle mine span, which he did. But I just feel like the level of competition is jumping. As much as we love polar bear, I mean, like, Sergey ain't no bum. He's only losing against the top of the competition, Tom Aspinall being one of them. You know what I'm saying? And for Waldo to just have, like, you have 14 wins in under 4 years, but I just feel the experience of the cage time is going to serve Popovich better. So give me Sergey, and I'm gonna say by knockout or submission before the end of round 2.
I mean, that could be it. All right, so next up.
Real fast, though, that's the thing about the heavyweight division, though. Like, you rise so fast because there's so shitty level of competition. I mean, like, it's just so weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, people in the top 10 is not even in the top 25 at heavyweight. I mean, I say like middleweight, or like light heavyweight, lightweight. That's crazy. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, between for like the heavyweight division, I mean, if they need to have to salute everyone, I mean, that division, it looks like, I don't know, they just brought it in, but if they need to have to pull him over because we need something like the real deal of the heavyweight division. And I'm very glad that you just brought
him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because how can we do all about it? Because make the heavyweight like the Pro League tournament only weight class, because every new year they're going to sell up the spear, they have the top 10 fight in the bracket, but it seems like they always stay in empty. I mean, the heavyweight are really weird because the amount of persons, I mean, they're sort of sets right now, because it became something like the wide and pool that they fight each other, because most of those guys are heavy enough to fight a heavyweight. Either had to go to a bodybuilder with skill or no skill, because there are the sites that play sports, because they always had the factor, but they also had to play edge rusher at the Big Ten in football. Because elite athletes with legit heavyweight, their size are really weird. Because once they get the punch out of the face, even more like rare, because they're gonna make a lot of money, because they typically like bit athletic guys to find it all the way, because I have to fight at that weight.
Yeah, and I just feel like they're not even a fully 100% complete yet. Like, you can go in any other division, like, you go try competing in the top 15 in featherweight and see how you do if you're not a complete fighter, if you don't have every single discipline on lock. Good night. You're not going to fight that. You're going to sleep. You're going to get submitted, or you're going to lose the fight. In heavyweight, it just feels like, dude, you can be a bum. You can go on a little bit of a tear. You can make a little bit of noise. And then they're like, yeah, you deserve a title shot. And it's like, dude, this guy's not even proven yet. He's going to get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like sometimes it's like they push him way too fast. Like, you can take this fight. If Voldo comes in, if Costas comes in and fucking knocks Sergey out in 1-1, people are going to ask him, no, title shot. He ain't not at the level of Tom Aspinall yet. Tom Aspinall will dust this kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying he's not at that level yet. So I just feel like sometimes in the heavyweight division, it hurts them more than it helps them. Like, yes, you're getting a faster track to the title. We see it in the heavyweight division, and we see it in the female divisions. It's like they rush track them to the title, and then you go out there and you're like, oh my God, I'm in the fucking ring against Shevchenko. Oh my God, I'm in the ring against Anna Nunes. And you're like, holy shit, it looked like you didn't train a day in your life. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a big fan of a motherfucker fighting like 12 times and then getting a title shot. There's people on roster that literally can't get a title shot to save their life, that have been fighting forever, and I get that. But at the end of the day, it's just like, imagine you're like a 13. There's a guy right now on a 9-fight win streak, not even in talks for the title yet. In talks for a title, but not truly in talks for a title yet. I believe he's in the lightweight division. He's not even ranked in the fucking top 15. The level of competition he's been fighting is not the best. But at the end of the day, he is not. I'm sorry, not a 9-fight win streak. He's on a 7-fight win streak. But he's not even talked about as a contender yet. But he's on a 7-fight win streak in the fucking UFC, but he's not even being talked about as a contender yet. They're still saying like, oh, he needs to prove it. And then you go fucking take a heavyweight fighter. Costas has 8 fights in the organization. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, though. Let's move on.
Yeah. All right. And I just wanted to tell you, but because talking about like the fight between Brian Ortega versus Aljamain Sterling, well, 10 minutes later, right now they just canceled because I just saw like over to the social media post that is her right now because it really surprised because they have to cover this weight because they just wanted to cut it all because he had a disastrous weight cut which just landed to the hospital, but also
Mm.
Johnny Walker versus Shamit is the new targeted main event for the Shanghai, which is they have like it was like the second time they pull off at the last second because it's not his fault, but I know that it just like I don't know what's really happening because he just failed to make way for the scheduled Shanghai co-main event, but it's just like when did the actual fight is happening right now? Because they just it is understandable because after that because he had an accident and fell down, but I don't know why did it just kill him because the wake up was a disaster because I hope it's gonna be okay. But I feel bad for Aljamain Sterling, who traveled all the way to Shanghai for no call, no fight. And I was just like, man, that was like a real bullshit. But after that, would you see like it is time to say, okay, so they need to have to go for like the fight because every time it happens, because they all went it down to Shanghai to like to pull it out of it again. But I don't know it's gonna be like it'll really happen. But imagine if Brian Ortega wasn't in there for like to do the weight cut, and what's gonna happen between for Aljamain still? Because there's like another reason. Because if Brian Ortega wasn't scheduled for that fight, I mean, Josh Emmett could be the fill for that position if Brian Ortega was taking out the weight cut.
Yeah, I mean, like, it happens. Brian Ortega, I mean, like, we don't want the guy to die when he's cutting his weight. It sucks for Aljamain Sterling. Hopefully, Dana White and the UFC will take care of the guy. He did fly all the way overseas, tough 3 months of training to try to move up in the division. And this was a big name in the division, and this was an amazing fight for him. And I just kind of feel like, weight cuts is one of the hardest things to do in the sport, in all sports completely. You're literally going out there and you're literally killing your body and you're at the brink of death. And I respect any fighters to, go in there and at least try to cut weight. And I mean, like, obviously it reminds me of when the doctors told Max when he was about to fight for the UFC championship against Khabib, and they told Max, like, you're ill, you can't fight. Hopefully we can just see Brian Ortega get healthy. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, Brian Ortega went from this guy that had potential to be a real household superstar to really just not really showing up. I mean, like, getting beat by Diego, pulling out against Aljamain Sterling. It's just really not a good look. And we just seen the UFC cut someone this past weekend about Brian Battle, a winner of the Ultimate Fighter. Brian Battle just got cut for missing weight twice. I know this is a different scenario, and Brian Battle missed weight by like 10 times twice, and never good, not looking professional. But you always want to be in good graces with the UFC, right? You don't want to always be like you owe something. And I think Brian Ortega will be around. He's obviously he's a household name, but I just hopefully he can just get his shit right. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what he's doing in his camp or anything like that, but I know there's been some concerns as of the last 5 years with his training and then the way he operates his life. And I'm not one to judge. I'm not the one who takes the best fucking care of my body, but I'm just saying you can see it in his performance, and he went from being this high level prospect that everybody thought was going to run the show for a really long time to not really living up to the potential. Not as bad as Cody, but to a point you kind of wish that Brian would return it around. But we'll see what happens with that. You know what I'm saying? But get into the main fight. What you feel about Johnny Walker?
All right, so for the main event, the light heavyweight Johnny Walker versus Min Young Sean, because this is gonna be like something that is gonna be very good. Because Walker, being an underdog, raised an eyebrow because he only certainly somewhere he's highly capable for pulling off some crazy bullshit against the odds for the Shanghai crowd. Because there's no doubt that he's a rough fighter to watch. Everyone's doing his clumsy, comes like glass chin, amenable, strikingly defensive to make it over for it. But Walker's unpredictability is his biggest asset. He's moving trained to SBG, and he lost an opportunity because he can make sure that something that America's happy, because if Sean lands a hard punch to chin of the Walker, it's evidently game over. And it ends like at the beginning of the moment for this like, oh, that was like all the comments, wasn't it? But they give like a better the Walker a spot, but I think the opportunity for upset is gonna be based on unprotectable. Now Sean is gonna be like coming out for a strain of knockout wins. As much as it sounds great because his last opponent he won it against already retired Anthony Smith, and now he's officially retired after the fight. But at the moment, it just seemed that they have a severe risk disadvantage where they're making some troublemaker. If Walker fights long, or his chance explodes it into the pocket and lands something, that risk advantage is not going to be mean anywhere, because Sean is something that he can take like a one punch man before he's seen like a pearly gates, because I think it's going to be like a some store with like the tags. But I got Sean winning this one because Walker Garrison League is some creative, some moment of chaos, but maybe it's gonna be like an upset for this chin. They're always gonna be really tank out because I always wanted to see everything. But between for like Johnny Walker, I mean, he has the great moves, he has the great chin, but also he got like pulling it over for like this movement for the submission and of course for the punches. But I don't think he's gonna be so much ready against Sean because he already had the skills to create some moments that had to go for like the advantage.
Well put. I mean, like Jung is definitely coming in as a knockout favorite. The one thing that concerns me is just the level of competition, Raphael. I don't see anybody on his record that I'm really concerned about it. I say Johnny Walker demolishes everybody he fought. So when I look at it like that, and I wouldn't say demolish, I would just say he beat. Johnny Walker would be able to beat everyone that this guy beat. Now, in the fashion that this guy beats him in, now I understand where you're going with this guy, because this guy is literally looking at the competition, saying, oh boy, you're not on my fucking level, and proving it by knocking them the fuck out. I honestly think this is going to be one of his bigger tests outside of obviously Anthony Smith. But who is Anthony Smith, right? Anthony Smith is a proven aged veteran that is on a downward spiral of his third half of his career, should I say. And yes, he's been passing the test over and over again. You go down his resume since 2019, all first round knockouts, won a couple of submissions, should I say. But you take this guy that's been on the streak, you apply him into the UFC. He goes in there, he beats Bryson. He goes in there, he knocks out Ozzy Diaz. Who's Bryson? Who's Ozzy? Ozzy, maybe, but Bryson, no. Anthony Smith aged. I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm gonna say Walker gets it done by decision. I know Walker hasn't been looking the greatest lately, but he's still only 33. And he's coming off of knockouts. I get it. You guys probably think I'm stupid picking Walker, but I just feel like he's never been one to really just hone his craft. He's always playing around too much. And I think if he was to take his craft more fucking serious, this guy would be a top level in the game of MMA. Reason why I'm picking him is just the success of his brother. I know that sounds stupid, but I just think that motivates him to do better. His brother's riding a 3-fight win streak off of a heel hook. And I just think like his brother's much more younger, but Johnny Walker is not old. He's not old by any means. If anything, would say he could have a second prime of his career. Will that happen? It all starts here. Will he probably get knocked out? Probably. But I'm a wife for Johnny Walker.
Yeah, oh great. All right, so last but not least, because they just announced it, René Derridier versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez confirmed in the UFC Vancouver, which is on October 18th on Saturday on Rogers Arena in Vancouver. So basically, I mean, I love this because, and honestly, this had to be because they wanted to keep like a purpose to letting off some like beating the shit out of the building. I mean, top contenders should be like fighting each other who really deserves out of the shot for like the belt. But I think the middleweight is cooking up there. And after we just saw Khamzat Chimaev as a new champion, but probably, I mean, there's gonna be something that no one can really miss it at all, because we've been seeing like a René Derridier. I mean, after he made against Robert Whittaker, which is so great that it's a powerful knockout, but also because they wanted to get it to stand up, because they could be like a problem. They could be a problem because they really had to stand up for that level. because they always had the frame and physicality for someone that had to go for the heavy clinch knees. They completely collapse Fluffy Hernandez, because I know the ones in the league wanted to chase off with it bad because the clinch was nasty. The clinch knees are really ridiculous because his style is a nightmare for the whole division. And I love to see them with a go for like the challenger, because then I had to waste it at the go for like wasting the time, but they absolutely, because he wasn't ending to like a submission on much longer. In between for like Fluffy Hernandez, I mean, this dude, I mean, he was like really amazing, because after we just saw for like his performance, I mean, they just wanted to keep everything because we want to see everything. So it's gonna be like literally had the punch, but between for this round, because after they know what did it say, Fluffy Hernandez versus the Raider, they want to see who's gonna fight against Khamzat Chimaev, because it's gonna be like a really worry, because it's not gonna be like really scared about fight like this one.
Yeah, dude, I love this little tournament that the UFC is putting on without calling it a tournament. We have 4 fighters that is certainly deserving so of the championship. On June 6th, we got Noursadine Imavov versus Kolo Buolo, and that's gonna be a fire one. And a lot of people would say that the winner of that one would take on Chimaev, until Dana White just came out and said, "Hey guys, we have another one on August 18th." Which is Ordi Ritter versus Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And I think that makes the most sense too. So I would say whoever comes in here, you know, it's going to be a tournament. It's going to be not really a tournament, but you have 2 fights, go out there and perform. If one fight ends the decision and another fight ends in the submission or knockout, guess what? Chimaev is going to fight the fighter that wins in a submission and knockout. UFC is looking for moments. Not like you don't need to moik Chimaev. He moikets himself. But at the end of the day, any one of those 4 fighters versus him at the end of the year will probably most likely happen. It's really hard to choose right now, because I really do love Fluffy, but I do love Ordior at the same time. And for the Imov fight, I can say I'm gonna back Corlo. I'm just a big fan of the fighting nerds. I do love what they're doing right now. I do think that Corlo is one of the best middleweights on the fucking planet. I think he can go in there and beat anybody on the planet right now. If your name is not Chimaev. It's just when you match up against Chimaev, it's just different. It's just different. You know what I'm saying? But and if he didn't demolish if he beat Dricus, just beat him, it wouldn't have. But now that he did what he did to Dricus and this Dricus, it's like, fuck you. How am I gonna be? Now I'm gonna select it. How do you pick against this fucking? You know, like, how do you pick against Chimaev? Like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like when Khabib just manhandled Johnson and be like, yo, I deserve to fight for the title champion. I deserve the fight for the championship. And when early Khabib was just demolished, or when early Ilya was just demolished, early Connor, when they're just demolishing the competition. Dude, he did that to the champion, bro. Like, what's next? You did that to the final fucking boss in your division, bro. Like, what the fuck? You know, like that was fun. That was fun to see. I hate that it ended it like that. Like, it wasn't a fun fight, but it was fun to see. And if that makes sense, like who domination? Who domination? A guy who knocked out, well, not knocked out, a guy who handled Robert Whittaker, Sean Strickland, and Adesanya, the 3 best middleweights for the last 10 years. This guy handled, exactly. And then Chimaev's like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm the boogeyman now. Amazing. Funny to watch, man.
Really amazing. All right, so thank you very much for all those comments, and of course, thank you very much, because right now, I just wanted to tell you thanks for joining us. This is another episode of The Combat Club, along with my co-host, Zion Zenith. And we apologize for the technical issues. We got it right now, but we're getting them back for the next week, probably, because I understand that the next week is going to be so huge between for like all of these fights. But I just wanted to tell you, because I just wanted to bring it off for like a surprise, because right now, over the next week, I'm going to bring a great interview with one of those fighters who earned a contract on the Dana White Contender Series. So I'm not going to get any details. So it's going to be on next week.
Major win. Major dub for the Combat Club. Let's get a little sound effects if it's working. If it's not, it's all good. But goddamn, that's a win. Good job, Raphael.
Yeah. Because I just brightened it for like all of these sounds coming in right now. But thank you very much. And of course, make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can subscribe to my co-host Zion Zenith on YouTube and of course on Kick. So thank you very much. And I will
Gotta go
see
fix
you
my
there.
chair now. I'll be making a lot of noise, so gotta go screw
Yeah.
some screws in. But let's get it.
All right. So have a good one, folks. And of course, have a great Thursday. And we can see you like in another episode of the Comic Club along with Capitán Rafucho and Zion Zenith. So let's get it. Have a great night. So peace out.